Artlist.io.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host, Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about equality and being subservient, old-fashioned versus modern woman in your relationship, marriage, and dating. So here we go.
Let us dive in.
Do you want to start us off, or?
Absolutely. So this is something that, always comes up just because now there's like a lot of these famous TikToks that I see, and I think they're so hilarious, where the guy's dating a white girl and he's like, listen, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna shake everyone's hand.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna say hi to everybody, and then if my Theo watches you, you gotta go make me a plate. And she's looking at him like, what are you talking about? And so that's all part of being a little bit subservient, and the way that you were raised, depending on what era you were born
and your culture,
raised, and your culture. And I know that, I've dated a lot of Latino and Mexicans, and also like Arab, Persian, Middle Eastern guys. They have a tendency to also want to have the woman cater to them.
Yep.
And with all due respect to anyone that is not within those realms that I just said, and if you're one of those, like, you have your own hands and feet, do for yourself, then I totally respect if that's the way you get up, if that's your get up.
Yeah.
However, I think it boils down to the way that you were raised. So, like, for me, it's very normal to say, let me take care of my man, and he takes care of me, I take care of him. I have no issue making him a plate, making him dinner, breakfast. Yep. But some people do, and that's the whole equality thing. But what's your point? What's your point of view?
I think that, look, we talked about love languages in a past episode that you're going to be seeing here, or that it's already maybe there.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of part of that for me.
Right.
And I'm sure for lots of people, when you're in a relationship with someone, you want to put him first. I'm also really like deep into my faith, and the faith even says, you know what I mean?
Really?
Like, the man is the head of the house, you know what I mean? He sets the tone, like, you are his partner, like, to serve him and stuff like that. You can look at that any which way you would like. I know there's going to be the women listening going, well, if he doesn't treat me right, what has he done for me lately? Type Eddie Murphy thing, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, for me, I do believe that the right thing to do is to take care of your man.
I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I would not. And I understand that we're career-oriented women.
Yes.
We have our own stuff, and it has nothing to do with whether or not they pay the bills. I just think it has something to do with the fact that it's a partnership, and this is the nurturing part as a woman that you should kind of have for your husband, your boyfriend, your significant other. It has nothing to do with whether or not he can do for himself. Obviously, he can probably do for himself if you're with him.
Yeah.
However, it's just a part that you just know that as a woman, you should be a little bit more nurturing. I am a mother of 2 daughters, and I always tell them, look, I'm not teaching you how to, let's just say, cook, because I want you to get married and I want you to be a housewife. Like, those are the things of the past. I understand that, being a housewife is also a job in itself. So I'm not minimizing anyone that's a housewife.
Yeah.
However, as a woman, you should have a little bit more of like that love, and be a little bit more delicate and be more aware and say, let me take care of my significant other. And I think it's rhetorical. If you take care of him, he may not serve you a plate, but he's going to take care of you.
Yeah, is he putting a roof over your head? Like, sometimes you got to break it down. Like, you talked about we're in business. I started my career in sales and ad sales. And sometimes I would do a deal that would only make me a tiny commission.
Right.
And my coworkers and people would say, why would you waste your time doing that little deal? And I would say, that little deal, it pays for my gas for the month, or it pays for my cell phone bill, or I bought this outfit, or hey, I bought this designer bag. You have to put everything into perspective about what he does contribute. And maybe for some women, it's as simple as he shows up after work and like isn't running around. You just got to find those reasons to motivate yourself, I think, to do it. I'm definitely the family has dinner together, even after my marriage. So till this day, if my sons are living with me, we're having dinner at the table. We're not in separate rooms. We are like, we do family night. Everybody has their own lives. Yeah. But we make sure we come together. And if you have a man in the house, like when I was married, he is first. And I would make sure that the kids were kind of calm for the first 30 minutes of when he got home, just to let him unwind and do all that. And then we sit down and have dinner, have at it. Everyone's talking, everyone's whatever. And by the way, serving his plate first. Right. And doing all that. But also, I saw my grandmother do that with my grandfather. it was like my grandpa always got served first.
Right. And you know what? Sometimes it's kind of funny because in the past, I noticed it just because of my history or what have you. It's just something that was kind of instilled in me because my mother is that way. And my mother would she'd be the last one to eat, which is kind of bad, but that's just the way she raised us.
Yeah.
So point is that they would always be like, don't tell me you're going to serve him his plate. And the girls, and I'm like, well, look, you don't have to. I'm just doing this because I want to. And so they'd be like, great, she's serving him his plate. He's going to talk smack. And now they feel like they have to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm not doing it to look good in front of anybody. I'll do it behind closed doors without anyone there.
Yeah.
But this is the way that you're raised. And if you are of any other nationality, you may be like, get it yourself.
And by the way, putting your husband first and serving him in this way doesn't make you less of a woman. It doesn't make you like not independent. I consider myself a very independent, self-sufficient woman, and I always know that if I'm in a relationship with someone that I truly love and whatever the situation is, I'm going to put him first. I know exactly the story that you're telling about that girl feeling pressured now to kind of level up, because I would always make lunch for my husband, so especially in the very beginning, once I was out there working everything, I would try to drop off lunch or meet him for lunch or whatever. But for the most part, I would, before when I was a housewife, because I spent a time where I didn't work, I was always making lunch, and I'd get up at 5 a.m. and I would just make the food, and then we'd have coffee, breakfast, pack his lunch, and off he would go. Well, as some of his people in his sphere and their wives would see and hear him talk about it, one of them pulled me aside and said, you need to knock that off. And I said, knock what off? And she goes, you need to stop with all this looking super cute and cooking in your high heels and still coming home after a long day's work. And she said, and stop packing the freaking lunches. He can go buy himself lunch. And she was so dead serious, and I was just like, but that's what I'm doing for him. That's part
of what I want to do.
I feel good doing it. It's just part of my thing that I do. He has his role of what he contributes, and this is what I contribute. And she was not having it. She was so upset with me.
But you know what? I've heard of relationships also where the man cooks more than the woman. Because I've met a lot of women now, especially lately, that don't know how to cook. And that's okay if you don't. I think as long as there's a little bit of effort, or if your significant other is the one that cooks, as long as you're contributing, you cook, I do the dishes, I put them away. And I think that life and balancing, just having that balancing act where you understand that you're the one that's cooking, great, he's going to help with the dishes. Or you're going to help with the dishes because you don't cook.
What does Cardi B say? I don't cook and I don't clean, but I still got that ring or whatever.
Oh, is that what she says?
Yeah,
but hey, I don't know that anyone has, respectfully, you may, and if you do, by all means, then go for it. Cardi B money.
Yeah.
If you have Cardi B money, then you're going to get the ring because you're going to have the chefs, the cooks, the people cleaning the house,
and that's
the people
what I was
doing
going to
everything.
say, right? So I think that everybody has to do their part. If you, like I said in an earlier episode, that the way I managed kind of my marriage obligations, because it is like a business partnership and everybody has to pull their weight, right?
Exactly.
And so you go, okay, maybe the man buys the home, the house, and the woman makes it a home. Okay, so she's responsible for the inside, what's inside, the children, the keeping it clean,
right,
laundry, whatever. Okay, and then the man is responsible for the outside, gardening, this, that, fixing the cars, whatever it may be. But he might be like, I'm not mowing the lawn. He's going to hire a lawn guy. So you should be like, okay, cool. I'm going to hire a housekeeper.
Yeah,
the lawn guy comes twice a month. The housekeeper can come.
100% agree.
Right? So it's it can be a give and take in that way.
Yeah.
But as far as is it over? Are a lot of those things over? Meaning, is being a modern woman, is us wanting to be modern women destroying the fabric of at our core what we want out of our relationships?
Well, I think the catch-22, in my opinion, is this. We want equality. We want the man to be equal to us. But we want them to pay the bill. But we want them to take us out to dinner, if you're single, and you want him
all the compliments
to give you the compliments, to flip the tab, to do all the things, but then you want to be his equal. I'm not saying that you can't be, and I'm not saying that we as humanity or we as human beings don't deserve the respect. Everyone deserves respect, and everyone deserves a thank you.
Yeah.
No one needs to do anything for you at all. You need to do for yourself. And if someone is willing to step up to the plate for you as a woman to say, I got you, baby, you say thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and
thank you can come in a lot of different ways.
Exactly. And and thank you, exactly. It can come in a lot of different ways. And I don't think it's minimizing you as a person to say, let me have you sit down and let me take care of you as you take care of me. Whether you guys split the bills or not, that's irrelevant. Just making sure that he knows that you got his back and he has your back, however it is. Again, a lot of women don't cook, and that's okay. But if he's the one that cooks, then as long as you find that balancing act where you do the dishes, he puts them away, you guys make the bed together, if that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not walking into a house where it's like a complete mess. You guys both have responsibilities to maintain, your household. But I think what happens is a lot of the time, we think that we're better or we're not being appreciated. And sometimes
that we're owed something. It's like, it kind of reminds me of some of the things that I hear out there from women, like, you deserve, like we say, you deserve fresh lettuce.
And
like,
you do. And you
do. But there's also a line where you just feel so entitled.
Right.
And you have to sit there and really readjust the expectations of the partner who's just a human being.
Right.
And a guy who's super simple. Like, they're very simple creatures. We've talked about this.
Most guys are simple.
Yeah, but
some are complicated, but most guys are simple. Yeah.
But when you approach it with like such a high sense of entitlement instead of just like what you're bringing to the table, it reminds me of that thing that I read. I had shared something that I read with you about, it was like a give and take. And it's like, if you're looking for someone, if there's something you really want in your life and you're looking for someone else to give you that, you need to like ask yourself, no, I'm not going into a relationship to take this or that from it. What are you contributing? Like, you should be looking for a relationship that you can give into.
It's kind of like the whole mirroring factor, right? It's like you have a list of things that you want in a man. Like, I need him to make this much, be this way, be like, whatever it is. You have a list. But that list has to mirror what you are too.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, well, I'm not any of the things that I want, but I want him to have them. So it goes back to that whole, do you mirror your list?
Yep.
And not only do you mirror your list, in my opinion, I feel that a lot of the time, we as women, we just think, I've heard women say, well, if he's going to take me to dinner, as he should pay for the bill. And when you have that perspective, that demeanor, that way of thinking, no one needs to do anything.
You're a taker at that point.
To say as he should, no one needs.
No.
That
dude doesn't even need to be showing up after work.
You know what I mean?
He can go to the bar with his friends. Like,
and I mean, he doesn't need to take you out on a Saturday or a Sunday night. Like, he doesn't need to do anything. But when you have that kind of way of looking at things where you think people should, because you're pretty, because you look good, because you smell good, that only goes so far before someone says, you're pretty, but you're not that pretty.
So and here's the thing, because women are leading with their sex, they're leading with their looks. It's like, oh, you can't get anybody like me. It's like, what else do you contribute? Because men, they get real tired of that real quick. Like, I think we shared in an early episode that I had seen a madam who had said, show me a beautiful woman and I'll show you a man who's tired of sleeping with her. And it was like, it really resonated in that we need to bring more to the table. A guy who's just hot, he needs to bring more to the table than that. Whole like entitlement and like nobody owes you anything. I mean...
Yeah, no, and I've been around men that, feel entitled because they're very good looking, they're fit, it looks like they have everything going for them until you get down to the nitty gritty. And I think a lot of the times what's indicative of a person, whether they're good or bad, it's just like the way they treat other people, the way that they express themselves about other people. And whether you're very beautiful or very handsome and very fit
or rich
and you have all the things going for you, at the end of the day, that's not enough to make you an a-hole or a bitch and walk around like you're so entitled.
Yeah.
So, but I think we're kind of veering away from the subject, which is, should you be subservient, or is subserviency a thing of the past?
Yeah.
I think the newer generation, in my opinion, is not being raised or conditioned to feel that they should take care of their significant other. I feel that the newer generation feel that they should like the man needs to take care of them, or they can take care of themselves. They don't need a man. So I think that we are actually kind of slowly, like, the numbers of how many people like procreate is kind of dropping, because it's really difficult for you to find your equal when you feel that you are the alpha equal.
Yes.
And you're not only the equal, but you're the alpha equal. It's really hard for you to say, yes, you are the man, but I'm the one that has like the freaking the package.
Yeah.
Like I mean, the package. I don't know.
There's this guy in town. He owns an Italian restaurant, and we had asked him, "Do you own the restaurant?"
Right.
And he said, "Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask me, I'll say, I'm the head. If you ask my wife, who's cooking, because she's he goes, she'll tell you she's the neck that makes the head go like this, But he was very happy about it, and still it's a team effort, right? The head and the neck, And it was a really funny statement. But I think at the end of the day, there has to be some give and take.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be a mat that is walked all over,
right?
And stuff like that. But if there's respect and there is genuine love and all of these things, you should find a lot of reasons to do for your partner. But I wanted to kind of bring something to light here. A lot of people, especially women, they always say, what made the old relationships last? Like my grandparents were married 60 something years. Like, what was that? And I can tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't like, oh, they're soulmate, and we've talked about this before.
Right.
And it wasn't, what is he going to do for me? It wasn't, is he going to take me on date nights? Is he going to cook because I don't want to cook? No, he went out to work. And she stayed home in most cases and raised the kids. He built the fortune, or he built, the livelihood and the lifestyle. And she built the family as far as raising the kids, took care of the home, made it nice. And guess what? When he came home from work, hot meal right there on the plate. But if you fast forward to the modern day, where women are often saying, hey,
I'm also at work. I'm also career oriented. I'm also contributing to the bills, the house, the everything. And on top of that, we've said this also before, a lot of the weight goes on the woman because she runs a household. And so, the men sometimes can typically make a little bit more than women. Nowadays, it's kind of questionable.
It's all relative.
All questionable and a little relative. But let's just say if that's still the old school way where you guys are both contributing to the household, you guys are both working, however many hours a week, you have children, you have to balance that out. And I think at the end of the day, it goes down, or what it is are you being valued? And if there's a person that feels like the one person's not appreciating or valuing the person's, what they're bringing to the table, I think that's where you miss the mark a little bit. Not like in the grandparent age where the mom stayed home and she took care of everything, made sure there was fresh food and whatever it is.
I think a big part of the problem these days is that we're using money, the monetary side of the equation, as the whole equation, the whole measurement tool. So meaning, back then it was the man provided, but the wife did so much to contribute to that relationship and that household that it's equal.
Right.
If you sit there and go today and you go, well, he works, but I make more money than him, so I blah blah blah, he has to help cook. What you making more money than him should have zero impact into whether or not you serve a plate for your husband. He's your husband. You know what I mean? And so if you even want to go deeper, at the end of the day, you go, okay, I want a partner in this. But we have to give men the time and space to be men. To go in and emasculate someone, you are not going to get good behavior out of that person.
Right.
And as women, listen, we've raised children. We know how it is to discipline children, get children in line. It's kind of, my grandmother used to say, it's kind of the same thing with men. And you have to reward good behavior, and then you have to address bad behavior.
Of course.
But you have to sit there and say, hey, he came home from work on time. He didn't go with the buddies to go do whatever. Have some freaking food ready. Have a little something ready for him.
Yeah. And if you're working and you guys are coming home at the same time, that could be a little difficult, because I remember that was the thing with me, that we'd come home from a work day, office, long day at the office. I did have someone at my house, but for me that was a big deal, that I didn't want my kids to remember my housekeeper's cooking. And a lot of people would prefer someone that can cook for them. I wanted my children to remember my cooking, not her cooking. And I guess that's a territorial side of me. But everything is it's going to work according to the way that you live your life and the kind of, scheduling that you have with your husband and your scheduling. But at the end of the day, you have to know that you shouldn't feel too proud to be a woman. Be happy that you are a woman, that you can do these things. And I always will say this to anybody. There's nothing wrong. It's not like, they're chopping off your hand. And I understand that the person has hands too.
Yeah.
Because that's always like the first thing they say. It's like, he has hands and he has feet. He can get it himself. True.
Yeah.
But there's something beautiful about knowing that, again, he loves you, you love him, and you're going to take care of him, he's going to take care of you. And that's that whole communion, and that's the whole beauty of it, in my opinion.
I think, coming home to a pleasant home is important for both people involved. Mm-hmm. I've been a career woman 95% of my marriage.
Right.
I'm working long hours, out of town, flying out of business. And I can tell you, first and foremost, I always thought about my kids and my husband. I thought, what are they going to eat? What are they going to... I didn't think, well, they can just go out to eat. They could figure it out. They could... No. I literally would go ahead and almost like a meal prep situation and do the containers of the enchiladas or the whatever and all these different things. And I would put Monday this to, especially if I was flying out of town for business. And then the kids would call and okay, just put it in the oven for this much time. Or my ex would call and say, okay, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
But it was they're getting mom's cooking, and it's not fair. If you're looking for life to be fair, I think you need to really go speak to someone. You need to go into deep prayer if you're looking for anything in life to be fair.
Right.
Because this conversation is not about being fair. It's about really looking at the institution of being submissive. And there's a huge power in being feminine.
I love that you're saying that, because it's so true. I think that there is a huge power, absolutely, being feminine, being submissive. And even if you're not, at the end of the day, we have the ability to say, but are we really submissive? Yeah. Maybe not. But point is that you have to know that as a woman, we bring that femininity. And so you have to embrace your femininity and just say, you know what, today this is what we're going to do. Once in a while, it's okay if he serves you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I think as a woman, it's really beautiful if you can also provide that warmth and nurturing side of you to your significant other.
Because you want the masculine or the man in him to flourish, and it cannot do it. It will be stifled if you're being alpha. If you're bringing alpha provider energy, now where is his actual masculine energy going to be able to flourish? And then let me tell you what's going to happen. You're probably not going to respect him. I know for me personally, if the guy doesn't step up as a man, just in his own, he could be grumpy. He could be just be a freaking guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If you don't have masculine energy, whatever, I start to kind of go, I'm not as attracted. I don't have as much respect for that person. It's I don't care if you're whatever, just be yourself, be a guy. But if I'm not giving him that space and time because I'm always shutting him up, I'm always trying to control the bills. Right. I mean, I will even say something that's going to be so controversial, but when I was married, and I still kind of believe this, I didn't look at a single bill. I didn't concern myself with that. That was part of his role in providing. I made more money by a lot the moment I started working. Right. So to me, it wasn't oh, well, let's look at the bills together and start talking about the bills. It's no, that's on you. You figure it out. Yeah. All I know is when I get home, the lights are on, cool, the gas works so that I can. So to me, I didn't concern myself. I let him just take the
care of stuff,
and that could be, you could say, well, my husband, so responsible, but have you put him in a position to step up and be responsible? Or does he know you're always going to save the day and take control? And so that's the power in being submissive and subservient is when you say, honey, I can't open the jar. Right. Psychologically speaking, I don't care that you can open the jar. I don't care that you can push the car out of the way. You have to be able to go, no, honey. And I did that with my sons. Yeah. With my sons, I always would be here, open this. Here, can you move that? Or here, I always did that, even though I could, obviously, I'm 5'7", I'm not this tiny person. I could easily do it. I always gave them their place to go do the physical things and to do all that, because that's how they they love it. Yeah. That's where they go get puffed up. They're and they feel
oh, I'm strong. I can open it.
I open that jar. Yeah. Or I fix that thing.
I loosened it up for you. I twisted it a little bit.
The toilet starts making a weird noise.
You're
can I go buy a kit from Home Depot and probably solve it? Yeah, you know what? Probably. But guess what? I have men in the house. So let me tell you something. You guys, the toilet's making noise. What do you think it is?
Yeah.
Oh, they sat there
Yeah.
going on YouTube, and now they're at Home Depot, and now they're fixing it. And you know what they talk about for a week?
How they fix
Man,
that.
it was so hard because the one freaking part, but I got it done. And then you go, wow, it's so awesome. Like, I love that you did that.
Yeah. But that's what it
so
boils.
simple.
It's so simple, and that's what it boils down to. And at the end of the day, I think no matter who you are, man or a woman, woman or a man, I think nobody wants to feel like someone has the upper hand, or that you feel that you're entitled, or that, oh, well, as he should. You should never have that type of mentality anyway. I think that no one should do anything for you. And even your parents, you know, when you look back as when you were a kid, to say like, as my parents should do this, or as they should do that.
No.
You know, it's what you say and the way that you act that you feel entitled. There is nothing worse than actually giving off that vibe of like the entitlement. And you know what? At the end of the day, you got to be gracious with everything and everyone, and grateful for your husband, for your children, for your home, for your household. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being a little subservient. And you know what? I promise you, it's a rhetorical energy where you serve him, he serves you in different ways. You guys will be continuing to serve each other. And that's really the takeaway here, is just don't ever feel like you're too good, or I make too much money, or I'm an attorney, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. It doesn't matter how
smart you are.
It has nothing to do with that. It's just being a human being. Like, it's about just coming together in communion and say, I'm a female and I want to take care of you. It doesn't matter how much money it is. And if you have chefs and if you have housekeepers, then amazing. Then, you know, maybe this conversation is for you.
No, and you know what? It is still, because you can find other ways
to be
kind.
There are
so many other ways.
You're right.
To give him his place, you know, as a man. There are so many other ways. This is a family friendly show, so we won't get into it.
We won't, but I guess the takeaway is, I thought there were some really funny TikToks, and it was like, you got to serve me my plate, you got to do this. And that's different when someone says, you got to do this.
Yes.
I think that's when someone's going to say, I don't have to do anything, actually. As a matter of fact, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's the way that you ask is the way that you receive. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So check your motives. Check your motives and the delivery, right?
Yeah,
if you deliver nicely, you're going to get a nice package. If you deliver very mean, you're going to get a broken package.
And you know what? Let me tell you, especially if he has his parents over, let's just forget the parents. Let's just say his friends, his brothers, his cousins over, and there's all the women cooking, whatever the situation is, people drink, whatever it is, people all around. And his wife comes and goes, here you go, babe, and serves him first and puts his beer there, whatever the situation is, and then walks away and serves herself and does whatever. Let me tell you, he doesn't have to make eye contact with those guys.
Right.
That guy, he's going to feel like the king of the freaking world.
King of the jungle?
Yes. And, you know, and when you give him enough of those moments where he just feels, eventually he'll just get used to it, and he'll feel, it'll come off like he's entitled.
Eventually it'll be an entitlement.
It'll just be an entitlement.
Like, where's my plate?
But
Everybody
you know
else got served from me.
But when he starts kind of stepping out of line a little bit, and you step forward and say, you know, I really go out of my way to make you feel really good and special when your friends are around and stuff. I'd really appreciate it if you did that to me. If you did that for me, because I see you doing this or I see you doing that. Right. Like, where do you even have the right at that point? Mm-hmm. You know, if you're not truly all in on your marriage, where do you have the right to be asking him to be all in? You know, and I think that comes from, you know, really understanding what each other wants.
And being grateful.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just being grateful. Just be gracious. Be grateful.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a little subservient, to be a little loving.
Yeah.
And it's okay to receive that too and expect that. But it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. So always check your motives. Always check how you are going to send that in the delivery. You know, that's really what it boils down to. So that's literally our takeaway here, I think. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, this is all we have to say. Be a woman, and it's okay to be a little subservient. It's okay to be a little loving. As long as you're not being abused, as long as they're not expecting that of you, where they're yelling at you and saying, where the F is my plate?
Like, you better do that, yeah.
And at that point, I think that you're going to be like, your plate is in the freaking pot.
Yeah.
And in the cupboard.
In the
and you get it yourself.
Yeah.
How about that? You know? So
How about that?
How about that? But I think if you guys both have mutual respect for yourselves or for each other, I think that, you know, it's a rhetorical love. And there's no reason why it can't work.
I agree.
that's it. So
all right,
that's
well,
all we got.
Stay tuned to the very end. We have a wonderful mantra that you can screenshot if you're watching us on YouTube, or you can take a look at the show notes if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to drink Tavi tequila.
Woo!
And to that we say
Cheers.
cheers.
Salud.
Salud.